lot of history in Cave.
It's probably one of the most haunted roads in America in terms of the cave itself. I mean, was a stop for everybody coming down the
They
road.
were in it for the money. They weren't leaving things behind.
It's family stories.
It's all kind of fuzzy because they weren't writing any of it now.
Because he had to go someplace in the woods to get his money. There's just folklore of people finding stuff or people looking
Come
for
along
it.
down through there, and there's nothing else like it on the river.
Going to find her treasure, where her first husband's loot is. It's always folklore that if you're finding buried treasure, be careful because underneath it's going to be covered with snakes. Cave and Rock is one of those big natural landmarks and one of really only two major landmarks on the Ohio River that the earliest settlers coming down the river would notice. The first was the Falls of the Ohio at Louisville, and the second was this big, huge bluff that actually starts around Battery Rock, and then at different times there in Hardin County, the river comes up to this bluff, and then you've got this huge cave mouth that's bigger than most flatboats that are coming down at that time.
Most of them came down the river from the East Coast. Mason was one of the big name pirates that ended up down at Natchez before it was over with. He came from what was supposed to be a fairly well-to-do family in, I think, Virginia, fought in the Revolutionary War, and led a band of pirates.
We see him at Red Banks, which is now Henderson, Kentucky. We see him downstream a little bit, and then by 1797, he's based at the cave. The next time that we know there are pirates there is in the spring of 1799. We had Samuel Wilson and his House of Entertainment. Liquor Vault and House of Entertainment is what he had on the big sign. He probably was working for Mason. He was the front. And that's the spring that Duff had his interaction with soldiers who had arrested him up at the salt works along the Saline River. They were brought down below the mouth of the cave and stopped. The soldiers go someplace, leaving one in charge. Duff and his men managed to get loose, capture the one, get the weapons which have been stacked up, and then capture the rest. That story only makes sense if they're actually stopping not downstream from the cave, but literally below the mouth of the cave, because the soldiers are going in to get something to drink. They tied up the soldiers, put them back in the boat, and pushed the boat out in the river. The boat floated all the way down past Fort Massac, which was the last American outpost on the Ohio River.
Stationed people above the cave as guides, and then wrecked the boats or guide them into the cave to stop for the night and rob them. And no roads, so that was the main means of travel. So anybody traveling through the area came right in front of the cave, and it was fairly easy pickings. They would station upriver as guides, would look things over and decide if they were worth the effort or not. And if they weren't, they let them go, and if they were, they just kind of disappeared.
And from December of 98 through August of 99, they killed over 40 people on the frontier from the Cumberland Gap down past Knoxville, throughout Kentucky, and then up around the cave. They supposedly took part in at least one flatboat raid. There was one survivor. That night, while the pirates were partying in the cave and in front of the cave, they took the survivor up to the top where the horses were corralled, stripped him naked, put him on top of a horse, and ran the horse over the cliff with the survivor on it, which then went splat down in front of the cave. And that's when the pirates threw him out because they were too bad for the pirates. There's another account where they pushed a young couple off the edge of the cliff, but they landed in the sand and survived. So we have those deaths that were recorded about 25 years later. French traders, trappers getting killed by them up around Pot Spring, which is in the northeastern part of the county.
I guess it's just a curiosity, and basically it hasn't changed since then, so it's just kind of an interesting little piece of history now. Hard to find hard facts about it.